Hi all, in this video I'm going to try and help you with your handle design for the power station. So it'll be a little bit of a loose video because I'm not going to edit it, I'm just going to send it to you straight as it is. So let's get straight into it. So file, new, and then here are my custom templates. I'm going to select the part template and say OK. On the right hand side, if you haven't loaded this already, I'm going to show you just how powerful it is, or how nice and easy, because I can type these things in. So the project is power station, the title or the part name is handle, the material is ABS, okay, and then type in white. Now if I just click out of here and I check on this, you'll see that the color did not enter. That's just because what you need to do is when you type this in, and I'm not sure why this is, you have to click the apply button. Okay, and so then if we check this, you'll see that white appears. So then these will be carried through to your drawings automatically if everything is loaded correctly. Let's go to the top plane. I'm going to create a guide sketch, and the guide sketch is going to start with a rectangle. This is just to give me the size of the footprint of the item. Okay, so I'm dragging, letting go, and I'm typing in and then hitting the tab button. Oh, I see. Has it done it? Yes, it is. Ah, freaking hell. Okay, let's do that again. So, we're already in the sketch. So I'm clicking and dragging my mouse, but letting go of it so that I can use both hands to type in the dimensions. So that's 180 and then tab, and then 290 and tab or enter. So this is just going to be a guide. It means I can select the entire sketch and just say convert it to construction geometry. And then let's just do some sketching. But before we do that, we'll right click, or we'll just click on this and go to this mirror button, and then use this one here. And then, so I'm just going to sketch. I can see that that hasn't met exactly where I want it to be, but it's all right. And yeah. All right, so let's fix a few things up. That can be dragged across, or we can just do this and say merge points. There we go. Right, and then I want these three to be symmetrical, so let's just do that. And what else? I want these two lines here to be equal. Okay, so that's the basic idea. And then to put some dimensions in, although let's just make sure. So one of the ways just to check yourself, like I want to make sure that that line, including these endpoints, is symmetrical around the center line to that line. So if I click on one of these points, it says symmetrical, but it's symmetrical in this direction, not in the horizontal direction. So I'm drag selecting those three items and putting a symmetrical marker in, so that now if I click on this, you'll see symmetrical. Oh, it's not doing that one either. So let's just see if that perhaps needs this. No, I can see that that is symmetrical as well. All right, so let's put some dimensions in. So I'm going to make this 200, make the width across here to be, say, 35. That's good. And then let's put in another width across here. 250. Yeah, that seems to be okay. I'm going to go quickly and not worry too much about whether it's exactly what I want or not. So I'm missing some lines there. I can see straight away. So let's just go back to edit sketch, and we'll do this in 3D. Completely acceptable. And I'm not going to convert my guidelines because I want them to stay in place. Right, so I have a complete sketch, and so I can now drag this up, or I can go to extrude, or you can right click or not right click, you can just click on this and then the context bar will give you all the commands available. So that's that one there. And I wanted to go up, let's say 40 more than I need, but that's cool. One more closed context. So this is not closed. All right, so you can just go back into the sketch, edit the sketch, and it looks like it is closed. All right, so that might mean that I've selected the wrong sketch. Let's just see if I select that and go. Let's see. Okay, so I'm not quite sure why that didn't select. But there you can see how I fixed that up. I just selected the region instead of the sketch. Okay, now I want to show you, I'm going to use this as the basis for two different configurations. So let's go across to these tabs here. The property manager, what that does is whenever you select some sort of item like a dimension, you double click on it. That'll give you the properties of that particular feature, okay? So it's not going to give me the properties of the boss, I don't think, no. But next to it is this one, this configuration manager, and you'll see under it there's one config under, I'm not sure why this is called part 7 now. Solidworks just keeps numbering as I change the what do you call it, the custom files. So I've got config 1, and I'm going to rename this. So the way to do that is to click inside here and then drag out. So click and drag out. There we go. And so let's say config 1 standard. Right. As later on, I might go back and change that name just to be more descriptive. But I want another configuration. So I'm going to say add configuration, and I'm going to config 2, and then this one will be holes, right? And just say using builded materials, that should be standard. Okay, so if I double click on either of these, you'll see there's no change, nothing's happening. So we're going to stick with config 1 for now. You can see it appears at the top here. If you click in this button, you should be able to, looks like we can't. Okay, I've actually got mine over on the right hand side. You can change your configurations from here. That should allow you as well to change it. Not sure why it's not working at the moment. So I've left it as a basic shape. That's because I want to change the way in which I do cutouts in the side and the front. I'm actually a little bit not happy about the size of his handle, so I'm going to quickly change it to 185, and that'll update for both of these. And then this one here, yeah, let's just leave that as 248 and round it off. And so, and right, so these on none of these I'm happy with. They should be rounded off. It's not nice to give people a file with lots of decimals in it, because then they have to figure things out with extra work. So please round your dimensions off so that they're easy to use. Right, so I want to cut a shape out of either side, and then I want to add maybe some other items. So let's just go to the top plane. So I like to use these 3 planes. That's because I like to keep this design tree as simple and as usable as possible. If I keep adding planes in, it becomes difficult to find things. And I can do just about everything I want to from these planes. I don't have to stick to the planes as a starting point. So if I go to top plane, for instance, and I say sketch, I'm going to do my usual, put in a center line, maybe put in another one, right? And then we can put, no, let's do this dynamic mirror, because I want it to go across both items. Something like that. Delete that, and then I want these 3 here to be symmetric, and I want those to, I think they're equal already. Let's just see what happens when you put some dimensions in. So that's 130, and let's make this 155, and let's give that, no, I'll tell you what, that's already doing it, that's great. So what I'm going to do here is rather control this width than control the width from the edge, although maybe not. No, I think this might be better. So you have to think about how the dimensions are going to be used later on. So it might actually suit me to make this based on the edge rather than the other side. All right, and then I think I'm going to want to control this angle. So let's put in an angle of 45 degrees, and that's almost fully defined. I think the only thing I need now is a dimension between there and there, or between there and there, 150. Okay, so that's actually not that important, that last bit, but just to show you, you do want to try and control your dimensions as much as possible. So I've got two split lines. Is this going to work? Let's see. Out we go. I've got the sketch selected already, so I can say, give me an extruded cut. Okay. So at the moment, it's the cut is going in the wrong direction, so I should be able to just drag this upwards. There we go. And at the moment, you can see what it's doing is it's creating a thin feature cut in one direction. I could go in two directions, although that just to show you what happens, that's actually done something interesting. All right, so but one direction is fine. Two directions should normally go, oh, that's mid-plane. Okay, so we're going to go one direction, and we're just going to bump this up and go in the opposite direction like that. Ooh, I see this one here. All right, I see what's happening. So maybe two directions is correct. That's also not working. Flip side cut. Okay, I think selected contours. You might have to deselect one of these contours and do them one at a time. Yes, that is what you're going to have to do, so that here we can go one direction, change that direction, click like that. All right, I mean, you could have just closed those sketches as well. I'm just showing you options. So I'm going to reuse that sketch because I don't want to go and do extra work. And then, so I'm going to say show it, and then I'm going to click on it and repeat the command extrude, and then I'm just going to go to selected contours and select just this one. That's got to be going upwards, and this has got to be one direction in the opposite direction. There we go. Okay. So ideally, I think if those were closed sketches, that would have worked better. But just to show you some options. Right, so far so good. Okay, so this is my basic shape, and then I'm going to draft it. So I'm going to go to the bottom, and let's give it a 2-degree taper. You would normally have a shallower taper, but I want to show you how this works, or just to make it obvious. So at the moment, it's pointing downwards, and I want it to point upwards. But before I do that, I'm just going to I'm going to use all faces, and then I can just click on this, and then that'll point upwards. And we say, okay, just make sure it's tapering in the right direction. There we go. That's quite a strong taper, but that's okay. And let's do a few other things. So let's put in a chamfer. That's not really looking good. If I go to this command, I can actually control whether it's symmetrical or asymmetrical. So I can bump one of these up like that or down, just to get an idea of where I'm going. And I think that's more of what I want. Let's make that 25, maybe even 30. And then I want it on these four. Whoops, so that one there. Right, so I might have to restrict myself in this case to the one it's going to work on. So it's not going to work on that one either. So it's going to work on those two. That's fine. So let's do that again. Let's do this and let's put the chamfer in place. And so you can see it's done 30, 45. I want this one here and 30 and 10. And I just want to swap those around. I don't think there's a quick button. I think you have to actually here go 10. Just remember. And 30. There we go. And so that's that, and that's that one there. Right, so that's pretty much symmetric, and now I'm going to, let's see, I think I'm going to cut away the top and the bottom. So let's go to the front plane, put a sketch in. What I want is something which goes straight along and then does a little bit of a bump. So let's put, as always, a center line in. And then use that to mirror. Okay, and then we can put in a spline, or we can put in, let's try a style spline, because that'll give us two different directions. So we're going to go from there. And here, what I want the style spline to do, or any spline, I want it to be tangent to this line. So I'm going to go straight out in the beginning. That'll automatically give me a tangent relationship. Then I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go along, and then I'm going to go to the center. All right, and then enter. Okay, and then what I want is for these three, 1, 2, 3, to be horizontal, and that's because I want them to meet at a tangent. And that's how you ensure tangency. All right, so then the rest is just a matter of putting dimensions in. So let's just give us a width first. 300, yes, that did not work. 300 too quick. And then a height. I'm going to go from here. Let's make that 12 for now. And then let's give this one a height. So 25. Give that one a height. 15. Give us a width. All right, so there is actually a way that you can speed this up. I don't know if it's always advisable. You can say fully defined sketch, and then you can just say, you'll see the 2 points. So if you've got relations selected and dimensions selected, and I always choose all of the relations, and then in dimensions you can just tell it where you want the dimensions to be. So it's going to choose point 1 as the origin. You can see that pink corresponds with that pink, and then this doesn't correspond with anything because it's got nothing else to correspond with. So this isn't always successful because, as you can see here, these have not gone across. They should actually go across. I might be able to just drag this across. No, I can't. All right, so it's actually, yeah, sometimes doesn't really work. So it's just easier to go like this. So just a quick trick to show you here, I can dimension to that line, and then as soon as I drag my cursor across the line, it'll give me a full dimension. So let's make that 55. So it's 120. 130. Maybe a bit bigger. 140. Okay, so and it's too high, so let's just make this 20. Okay, so I would normally spend a bit more time, or maybe I'd have a sketch to guide me. I'm just winging it here, so it's not going to look great. It's best to sketch what you want first. Bring the sketch in, follow the sketch. At least then you've got some idea of where you're going. I've pulled all my dimensions outside and arranged them a little bit, so it's easier to access them once I'm outside of the sketch. So that's with my sketch selected. I can alter this as I go. So this is going to give me not the result I want, but at least it'll give me something from which I can work. So I'm going to use the split command again, or the extruded cut. You can see it's going off to the one side, and that arrow there might be pointing downwards. Just make sure it points upwards by clicking on it. And then you want this to go through all both. So you'll see that this plane goes through both, and you say yes. It'll take the top half off. Right, so that looks way too thin. So it means that I can just go from here and quickly change these. Although actually that should maybe be 15. And maybe that should just be 20. I think it's these other ones. So let's just play with them a bit. You can actually roll your... Can we? Yes, you can hold the shift button down and roll this up and then just see what happens. Right, so that's actually probably a bit more of what I want. I'm going to say okay with that. Double click on this. Shift button, roll. Maybe down one. Okay, that's kind of gently. Yeah, that's all right. I'm going to leave it as it is. I should actually create another one which cuts out the bottom, I suppose, just to show you how that would work. Let's do that. I'm going to this time just use a simplified sketch, or perhaps no. First of all, okay. So I'm going to use. I'll use a simple spline. We'll just lay it out like this. And then click on this and then drag one of these buttons up. I seem to have two of them. Have I got two? Oh, I know what's happened. It's repeated because I've gone across. It's repeated the two together. So I'm not sure if that was that clever. Oh, no, this is all right. Here we go. We can click on this and that one. Nope. Not so clever, Phil. Let's do that again. Let's go to spline and we'll go from, say, this point to that point. Enter. All right, so that's going to double up. And then we can just make these points, that 1, 2, and there should be a third one in the middle. Make them horizontal. We've only got 2 selected, 3. I think you might have to select this one here. I've forgotten how to do this. Horizontal, there we go. Okay, so you have to select these diamonds, and then you can drag one of these in or out to get to the point you want it to be. We can drag this in or out. We can drag this down a little bit just to give it a bit more of an opposite curve. So I'm not going to worry too much about defining this too. It's not quite what I was thinking of, but so what we should really be aiming for is a much thinner bit here and a much thicker bit in the middle. So so this isn't quite working. This is mainly because I'm not planning this correctly. But let's do this. Put a height in here, 9. And then I should be able to use that line to then also extrude cut. Say go through both, all. Make sure this arrow is pointing in the right direction. Say OK. Oh, okay, so we did the wrong one. Go like that. Yes, sorry, I pointed the arrow in the wrong direction. It's got to go in that direction. There we go. Okay, so there's the basic handle. We've got draft in. We've got cut extrude in. One of the things you can do here is just to mark what these are. So I'm going to click inside here and drag my mouse away, or just pull the mouse away, and I'm going to say profile upper. And then we can do the same with this one. This is so that later on I know what all of these do. So those are chamfers, that's fine, that's draft. We know what that is. We know what that is. Okay. So a little bit more filling in items. It might be that you want to put in some fillets. So I've got 10 there. I'm going to leave it as maybe that's 12. And then if I click on one of these, what it should do is give you, there we go. Right, so if this thing disappears, you just hover over the actual line and you'll see all of the options. So I can do all of them. Those sets, those don't make sense. I don't really want any of these, but I'm going to select this one now just to show you how it works. You should be doing this sort of thing. Right, so it doesn't like one of these, and that's because of the size. You might have to go to 10. Okay, so that's done it. And then we can give this upper face a dimension, a fillet as well. Although first of all, I want to place a hole. So I'm going to go top plane, not a hole, a depression for where we'll fix these items to. So once again, I'm going to create, I can actually just grab this one here and then convert it to that one. Do the same with that. All right, so I've placed my convert entities button in here because I use it a lot. You can do the same. So let's choose this one as the basis for dynamic mirror, and then we're going to put in something like that. I think 12 would be big enough. We can locate that center to, let's go to the base rather. So let's make that 12. And let's do the same on this side. Do that 12. All right, so we should have two of them, and then we can just mirror those two about that item. So it's these two here. There they are. And they're fully dimensioned. And we can double click to exit. And so I want that to create a depression. So I'm going to select the sketch and I'm going to say extruded cut. And now I don't want it to go from where it is, as you can see. I want it to go from a surface. So I want it to go from this surface. And I want it to only go down by, say, 8 millimeters or so, something like that. Right. What should really happen is that should go down much further than the thickness of this item. So I would go back and then make this a lot thinner, so 8 mils, and this would be, say, 12. And I'm also going to give it a taper of 2 degrees, way too much. You should only do like half or so, but that's fine. That's cool. Okay, so what happened there is it only selected the one sketch or the one item. So go back into this and then go to right, so this one you can choose here whether you want this to apply to all configurations or just this configuration. I'm going to leave it as all configurations, but under the contours you just need to select the other contours that were not selected in the first place and say OK, and so there you have that sorted out. All right, and then I can just give the top bit a fillet. 10 millimeters is too much. Let's go 2.5 and see if that works. Kind of, although, and then we need to add in these ones here. It's a bit large. Let's make it 2 mils. That's cool. And then I just want to shell this, so I'm going to shell Selecting these faces, and I want that to be 1.7 for instance, and off we go. Okay, so that's as far as you need to go with this item. Right, so far so good. So let's quickly show you what happens when I go to the configs. If I double click on this second one, it's going to take me back to the very unfinished item. All right, so that's where we're at. I'm going to pause it for a sec.